Kajita-san, pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure as well.
We have known each other for a few months, no, actually maybe a little bit longer time now.
Yeah.
And you are based here in Europe now, just almost a year.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
Where did you come from before?
As you know, Tokyo, Japan. Yeah. Yes.
And what did you do when you were back in Japan? What was your work then?
My previous is that we are covering the sales and service activity, and also that DPS, we call it DPS, is a digital printing system. We are take care of the something like that. Okay.
And moving to Europe, is that? I mean, I know you've been here before, but how big a cultural change is that for you?
Yeah, culture is quite different. Okay. That Japanese one is not too nervous about the quality or organized production system, but sometimes it's too rigid. Okay, the most important thing is how to adapt to the environment to change. The Europeans are more flexible, I believe. Okay.
So when you come here as a Japanese and come to Komoro Europe, is it to manage the company better, or is it also to learn from the 28 countries in Europe?
Okay, yeah, I think it's both. Okay, of course, we as a board member of the Komori Corporation, I have to improve the Komori Corporation better. Okay, at the same time, to do that, okay, we understand the market. Okay, precisely. I believe the European market is the most important market, and at the same time, the most sophisticated market. In addition to that, this is the front line of the printing press manufacturer. Okay, so I believe that there are a lot of things I have to learn from the market, especially the customer.
But when I talk to Komori customers, it seems that when customers have decided to invest in Komori, they are very happy with Komori. So the technology you develop seems to be very aligned with the needs of the market. So is it the technology or is it the business that needs to get aligned with?
The Komori Corporation is basically based on the Japanese market. Okay, that we are adapt to the Japanese market. But at the same time, I understand that that the printing industry now drastically changing. Okay, so that the market is consolidating. That the small print shop that acquired by the big company, and maybe the big company will be the dominant market maybe, and also machines will be consolidated. So we have to adapt to this situation.
But at the same time, I also think that Komori has been. I think you've been quite smart because you have, of course, you develop technology that is very efficient and agile, and I think it has a lot of potential in the market. But at the same time, you have also partnered with both Landa and Konica Minolta. So you have also digital department, right?
Yeah.
Is that to basically serve all the markets that you see in the packaging and commercial space?
And basically, that we're manufacturer, dedicated manufacturer, the printing industry. Okay, so we are focused on the printing industry, but also that we have to serve not only the commercial printer, but also packaging printer. Okay, so that our technology should be aligned with the customer demand. If customer don't care that the offset printing or digital presses, then it's okay. But if customer require that the sophisticated offset presses, we have to improve our offset press. And if customer needs a digital process, of course, we are providing the digital process.
So by serving the market, you deliver what the customers need.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You said that you see the European market as, of course, an important market.
Yeah.
But do you also see that? Because I mean, you also worked in Japan, so you see the entire world. Do you see huge differences in the market? Yeah, I mean, from the Americas to the ocean to the Asian to the African market, do you see a huge difference? Yeah.
Well, European market is as I said, most sophisticated. Well, Japanese market is very mature, but relatively that quality is the first issue for them. But productivity is not second issue or something like that. So on the China, it's 1990s and the 20s. That the market grow rapidly, So they don't care that the efficiency or wastage or just grow. Okay, that just put the machine on their print floor, that they can increase their sales and the profit. But now drastically change. Maybe in near future, China market become similar to the European market.
Okay, so you think that that is maybe faster growing to look like the European market, maybe even faster than the Americans?
Well, that's a quite big, big question. But I think so.
It's quite interesting because I mean, if you see China and other emerging economies or markets, it's like first they have a huge market for exports, and then the economy grows internally. And when they growth internally, basically they create a huge domestic market, and then it's kind of consolidates around productions for the domestic market. Is that, I mean, because that must be exciting because some of the printing companies in China are so big. Probably you have thousands of printing machines there, right?
Yeah.
Keita-san, who are you actually?
Okay, so that's a quite interesting question.
We should have started with it, right?
Well, honestly speaking, that I joined the Komori 2009. Okay.
Oh, so you're relatively new in Komori.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, before joining the Komori, working for the kind of the financial institution, like investment banking.
Oh, so you have good control on the financing side, right?
Yeah. But I'm a Japanese, as a Japanese, that I'm very interested in manufacturing the goods, especially the high-end, state-of-the-art machinery.
Then you're in a good place, right?
That is very interesting for me.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to that, even in the financial, I work for World Financial Institution. I'm very, love to bring something new. Okay, well, someone said that this is innovation. Okay, that innovation, I believe that innovation is quite important to evolve the society or industry, and this is born from the customer needs. Okay, to realize this kind of the innovation, this is a most favorable thing for me. Okay.
Sorry to almost interrupting you, but I was thinking that when you talk about innovation and you talk about customer needs, one thing is that you develop and innovate in relation to what customers needs. But what do you also think that Komori and your role maybe also have a role of leading into new things that are unexplored?
But in the history of the Komori Corporation, that this 2020 is the 100th anniversary of the Komori Corporation.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. During this process, if we learn that our history, that we are the first inventor of the automatic predictive change system in 1990s.
So you were the first to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard that the history from my predecessor or something, that at that time nobody thinks that the automatic predictive change system can realize. Okay. But the Komori did it. Okay? Because that our engineer or sales rep go to the customer, that is necessary. So that and also that there are another example like a KHSI self-learning system utilizing AI functionality, or HUV system that introducing the UV technology to the commercial printing industry. That's all that the Komori is invented and introduced to the market and changed some area of the industry.
But that is fantastic, and of course it's part of your storytelling, right? Yeah. And that it brings us back to some of the conversations you and I had. Is like if you want to grow market share, people need to know all the advantages of working with Komori. So how good are you at market your technology to promoting your technologies? Are you good at that, or is that where it lacks, or how do you see that?
Well, it's quite challenging, but no, recently.
Also in Europe, where we have so many languages, right?
Yeah. Right. But at the same time, that I think that it is recently we have developed the KP Connect. This is a cloud-based ICT solution. I think that it's necessary for this industry. So we are already succeeded in the Japanese market. My next mission is how to penetrate this solution to the European or other areas industry.
But is KB Connect, is that like a deal breaker for Komori and also for your customers?
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah.
But this is just a little bit different from the current Komori's activities. This is ICT area that we have to collaborate with other suppliers.
Yeah, because of all the workflow integration to different companies.
Okay.
I forgot to ask you when you introduced yourself, maybe because I was carried away what you said. You mentioned your background. Do you also have family and things like that, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, my wife is living in Japan at the moment, but sometimes she comes to Europe. Okay.
What does she like Europe?
Very much.
Very much.
She loves Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is she also in the printing industry?
No,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
She's belonging to the art industry or something.
Okay. Okay. Oh, art industry.
Yeah. She worked for the kind of the museum or the
Nice.
contemporary art.
Okay. So I saw there was a museum piece here on your show floor. Maybe she curated it, right? Kajita-san, your role with Komori here in Europe is, of course, to grow the market here. How does that look? Are you doing well so far?
Yeah, I have. Of course, that the current situation, your printing is very difficult. I understand, but at the same time, this is a good chance for us. If we can solve our customers' problem, we have a room to grow in the future. Okay, so that the Komori company, our philosophy is focus on ROI. That this is customer value, most important value for the customer. And also, as you can see, that the Japanese manufacturer is concentrated efficiency or clean technology, so that the Komori machines, as you can see in this open houses, maybe.
Yeah, because you had like very more energy efficient, and you also the I mean everything you do around it was is it the D30
37
yeah,
yeah,
37
P.
8P for the perfection machine you have on the floor, but that was basically reducing the forward from a B1 machine to an SRE1 machine. I mean I understand these technologies and these changes, of course, have an impact in how it is perceived. When you talk about the ROI as the most important thing for the printer, your background in financing and background in economy, does that help you in explaining this to the customers?
I believe so. I believe so. That I think that I don't know that the difference between the listed company or private company, but to keep the company and for the employee or supplier or customer, they have to make a profit, okay, more efficiently. This is the ultimate target of the management of the company, I believe. So that previous decade, that just putting the machine, big machine, we proud of this machine.
Yeah, we like the big machines, right?
But now that our environment has changed drastically, that the high inflation, everything, okay? Not only the energy, but also material, wages, or something like that. So that we have to think about how to make a profit appropriately.
But I mean, with your background as working in, was it in investment bank you worked? Yeah. I was just thinking that when you sell the machines and you have to make the ROI calculations together with the customers, the background you have for, I saw that in your presentation. You had like you have all the figures for upward trends and downward trends, and basically you make calculations. That background helps you in your communication, right?
I think so. This is quite important to communicate with the customer, but also that this is quite important to change the Komori Corporation's mindset. Okay,
and it's a big ship, right? How many people works for Komori?
2,700 around in the world.
Yeah. Okay. So a big company to steer, right?
Yeah.
And still not as big as some of your competitors. So are you more agile?
I believe so.
Okay.
And we have to.
You have to. Yeah. And last question here. Komori Open House, it's not the first time you are doing it. It's the first time we cover it, of course. But what is your expectations here? Is it what? How many people do you think you?
As I said, the Komori Corporation providing a very efficient machine and clean for the environment. But visibility of the Komori is quite low, unfortunately. Yeah, of course that the customer know that the name of the Komori, but they don't know that what is Komori. Okay, so that this is quite.
So the open house is to basically invite people to get to know Komori.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of Komori names there. So with the employees, right? So you're ready to welcome your customers, right?
Yeah, and we always said to our colleague that we have to be there to be different, and we have to focus on the customer. Okay. So that we are already succeeded to develop some solutions to improve the profitability and how to continue the environment. But this kind of the solution never reaches to the customer. That is a very pity for us. So this is a chance to deliver this kind of.
This is a chance with
Okay,
English, of course. You have to remember that.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And with that said, I think you have to go and talk to some customers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.